man, MTW. If you've been watching MTW, they have been performing really well in NESL Pro Series and IPL 5 qualifiers. They have been beating out a lot of the top teams. They've actually beaten out Dignitas, CLG, recently in the past. Same with Curse. So um, I wouldn't be surprised if they advance through this round as well. Definitely looking a lot stronger than all the teams that had the recent roster change. So um, yeah.
They do have. I mean, they had some trouble first round winners bracket. We are down in the losers bracket. Round two of the losers bracket, they are up a game on Dignitas down here in the bottom side of the bracket. But they ran into Team Dynamic, who has just been looking ridiculously strong. I mean, they were certainly holding off TSM for that half of the game yesterday.
Hmm.
That's been MTW's only real problem. Went 2-1 over Curse, and now facing Dignitas here in round two of the losers bracket. Soraka and Vlad, the first two bands to come out from MTW and Dignitas, respectively. Now Jax and Kog'Maw going to get the axe. No surprise seeing Jax come off the field early in the day today after his showing yesterday.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
no lag on these band champions. Urgot and Janna coming out. So the two big heavy hitter supports getting banned out, and Nocturne coming in straight away for Atlanta.
So definitely throughout this entire tournament, we've been seeing a lot of Jax picked and banned lately. It seems like every team with the Jax has been winning. So he's just one of those champions where if you let him be, you let him to get farmed and get to that 30, 40 minute mark, he's just way too powerful and it's just something you don't want to have to deal with.
Absolutely, and like it was just like yesterday. Yesterday, everybody that managed to land Jax had a pretty easy time, at least with Jax on lane. Zion Spartan did have a little bit of trouble, but they managed to get that back together with just a little bit of money sliding back Jax's way. Really, really nice play. I saw that happen with Riven a lot lately too, especially with Team Dynamic. They'd have a Riven coming out of the jungle, and pretty much as Riven switched between the two teams as the day went on, it was pretty much whoever was holding on to Riven tended to do fairly well in the game.
Yeah.
Now Jax is that player. Graves and Ryze the picks for
Hmm.
Dignitas. So
Ryze is
Graves going to be rolling bot lane.
Ryze is definitely a great pickup for Dignitas because generally Ryze would go a Frozen Heart, and having that Frozen Heart's gonna protect him against Nocturne if Nocturne wants to dive on him. Having a tankier carry is very good against a Zerg uh, bursty champion like the same team comp they played last game. The composition that MTW.na played last game was a heavy melee, heavy assassin type comp with Nocturne, Akali, and Aurelia, and just to protect against that, going Ryze just would be very good, especially for Aurelia and Nocturne. Having that Frozen Heart will lower their attack speed and give him enough survivability to actually continue to do damage throughout the fight and hopefully heal back up with his ultimate. And if he goes a Will of Ancients as well, he's going to be in the fight for a very long time.
Up Dignitas are up 1-0 apparently. They just had an exciting game. Uh I'm
MTW is
reading the
up
chat.
1-0.
MTW's up 1-0. Okay. Ping Meep, your moderator in the chat had said that Dig was up 1-0, so I was very confused. Anyway, so Alistar Karthus coming out, Muffin Cutie, a very, very solid Alistar player. Any really tanky champs, he does do exceedingly well on Muffin Cutie. Crumbs and I'm a Cutie Pie now going to be taking Mundo and Taric to town, so a Taric Graves bot lane. Always a scary bot lane, but with Alistar there, slightly less scary. We'll see. I know Atlanta does have a deep love for playing Corki. So we'll see what comes out.
So you do have Taric Graves bottom. Um, Generally against an Alistar is pretty safe because Taric would want to go up and stun and shatter somebody. Unfortunately, with an Alistar, he's going to be able to just headbutt pulverize the AD back and just reduce the damage because a stun by itself doesn't do a lot of damage. What enables a stun to do a lot of damage is the AD carry able to have that right click burst. Say with a Graves, he's going to be able to dash forward, buckshot right click. So if that's the case, Alistar's going to be able to headbutt pulverize the AD back and just relieve a lot of that damage. So in this case, not knowing what the AD carry is, I'm not exactly sure how it's going to be played, but most likely they're going to want to go for Ashe. But Alex is going to be able to prevent a lot of that damage. And so when it comes down to it, they're probably going to have to kill Alistar first. But once he hits level 6, he's probably going to be unkillable, especially if you want to engage on him. He's going to be able to use his ultimate and back out. and especially with Ashe able to throw, especially with Ashe being able to throw her arrow out to prevent further damage, they're going to be able to back out as well.
Yeah, fantastic ability to initiate. Apparently, people are saying you're too low again, and so I guess we could just play Mike adjust one more time. If not, I can turn mine down. Scara picking up Eve, so likely a placeholder. Who are we missing? A top laner for whoever they wanted to go top lane. I assume they will be getting you the information on who that's supposed to be. Um, but Ball's picking up Shen, possibly for top lane. Maybe they're going to go knock top lane Shen in the jungle. I've seen that once or
Yeah.
twice. Knock is a pretty strong top lane. But
So
then not knowing who Dig is going top lane.
no, I don't think they're going knock top lane. They're just waiting for the swap. Smithy is definitely not going to be going smite. So I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, isn't definitely going to jungle Ashe. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely not. So, Crumb's out of there. Let's see. They're gonna remake it blind, so we'll have a couple of minutes downtime. Did you hear who the Eve pick was?
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bump up my mic sound. That way, they can lower the in-game volume overall. So you would sound less loud in general
Yeah, we'll
relative to
just
me.
be yeah.
Because basically what we want to do is just sync up our loudness and make sure that we're not a lot louder than each other.
Yep, yep. So there we go. We'll just get it fixed. Hopefully, as long as I'm not spiking or anything like that. Okay. Apparently, I'm just too loud in general, so I can turn mine down. That's fine. And then both mics are fine to me. It's so confusing trying to get these things worked out. Ah,
Apparently it's good for a lot of people, but no, you can't please everybody. So I think it's good the way it is.
yeah. Hopefully it's not too much of a problem. White guy is too loud. I'll bump mine down a touch, and hopefully that'll be fine.
I
Uh,
am being a lot more quiet because I didn't sleep much last night. It's definitely a lot earlier in the day, so
oh yeah.
I'm not as excited as I would be normally. Just let me get a couple of these Red Bull kicking in my bloodstream. I
You
should
gotta
be.
just yeah, man. Get yourself pumped up on that energy. I dropped my mic down a little bit. Hopefully it didn't go too low there.
Yeah, it
Because
sounds perfect for me. So
okay, good. So we'll just leave it there, and hopefully that'll come through nicely for everybody else. So Atlanta on Ashe, of course.
it's gonna.
Muffin Cutie gonna be
Mhm.
playing Alistar. We saw these picks. Just gonna see who that top lane is, because that's the interesting one. Olaf was what the Eve pick was
Mhm.
a placeholder for. And let's take it. I mean, we're gonna have plenty of time here while the countdown rolls. So let's take it lane by lane, if you don't mind. What do you think, Olaf versus Shen top lane to start it off?
Olaf versus Shen top lane. Olaf should be able to uh do decently well. Shen should be able to handle himself pretty well, especially because if he is getting harassed too much, he's gonna be able to put the point into the W and reduce all the true damage that is gonna be received from Olaf. So in terms of Shen versus Olaf, Olaf actually has sustain. Shen has a lot of sustain too. So if Olaf wants to get a little too aggressive, he's gonna push the lane and he's gonna allow Shen to just freeze it and poke him under tower. Shen will definitely win this lane if he's getting a little too harassed and the lane's pushing towards his side and he's able to just hold the creep line slightly out in front of tower. That way, if Olaf wants to chase with his axes and his true damage, he's not going to be able to chase far. And Shen's going to be able to have the cover from the tower and throw out free harass continually. So in terms of overall lane presence, Shen has a lot more control than Olaf does. And if it's played right, Shen should be able to win.
Especially with Nock coming out of the jungle. Once Nock hits six, that could certainly be a little scary if Olaf gets himself overextended. Speaking of the jungle, Nocturne versus Mundo or Mundo, however you'd like to say it. What do you think of that? Nock, obviously a more attack-oriented kind of champion. He sometimes you see him come out a little bit before six, but it really tends to be once that ult's up that Nock really comes alive. What do you think?
Oh,
Coming out of
definitely.
the jungle.
Nocturne is a very strong hero once he's level 6, especially in this team comp. This team composition is more about just having a lot of global presence. You think about the global presence. 4 out of the 5 champion has a global ultimate. Ashe is able to land an arrow across map. Karthus is a guaranteed damage on anybody on the map. Nocturne has about maybe a little bit more than a quarter of the map's range at level 16, so um, he definitely can position himself out of sight where Dignitas doesn't know where he's coming from and laying out the damage that way. And then Shen, clearly, he's going to be able to protect anybody globally as well. So this is a very annoying team comp to be playing against. However, since most of the damage is physical, aside from Karthus and maybe a little bit of Shen, having that Taric on Dignitas is greatly going to benefit them, especially with the Mundo that's going to be able to tank them very well. So the way MTW wants to play this is they want to have a lot of early aggression at level 6. About like 7-8 minutes in the game, when bottom lane hits level 6, you're going to see a lot of aggression from MTW looking for kills basically everywhere on the map.
Yeah, pretty much anybody goes low. I mean, it's always that problem when Karthus is out on the field. You have to play pretty much twice as careful because once you get down to sort of 1/8 of your health, Karthus, if his ult is up, you're just done. There's nothing you can do. There's no amount of running away that's going to get you away from that. You just have to hope you get back. And obviously, with pro teams, they're not going to forget to call for Karthus ult. So it's very much going to be on Dignitas to play smart down bot lane. Speaking of bot lane, Graves Taric versus Ashe and Alistar. My brain doesn't want to think of champ names
Hmm.
today. Ashe, more typically kind of a sit back and farm kind of a player, and with Alistar out front, he'll certainly be able to enable that if Graves does want to get in and poke with
Hmm.
Taric on his side. What do you think down bot lane?
Down bot lane is going to be a lot of aggression from Dignitas. Ashe Alistar is basically just going to concentrate on farming, just because the burst from Graves and Taric is just going to be so huge early on that at any point if Ashe gets caught, especially without cleanse, he's going to get chunked really hard, and that's going to put him on the defensive right away. So what he wants to do is he wants to play defensive from the start and not get chunked, and that way he can continue to farm. And if he is out of position, he can probably tank the stun shatter and buckshot combo from Graves Taric at least once. But if it happens again successively within about 10-15 seconds, Ashe is definitely going to be going down.
Yep. So it's a good look, man. Karthus, obviously, he's got good range to just sort of sit back. So a nice little counterpoint to Ryze on the mid lane. Should be pretty interesting there. But that game is loading in now. We're all out of time to wait. And ooh, Grim Reaper Karthus. I don't think I've seen that one in quite a while. Pretty good looking skins overall. Love Amethyst Ashe. Really do. Especially the new particles. I like the purple arrow. You know, it's a
The
nice
purple
royal
arrow.
feel. Yeah.
I like Queen Ashe the best though. I think I was talking about it yesterday. I used to
What
do
do you think after the remake?
the
Because
remake.
she's all new now.
The Queen Ashe, or
Yeah,
I
yeah,
actually haven't seen it. I haven't played AD for ages, so any AD champion with skins I just haven't really touched at all. But this
yeah.
is game 2 between MTW.na versus Dignitas. MTW.na is up 1-0 versus Dignitas. Let me get
Yeah,
that
buddy.
name added in there. So,
There we go. I'll talk about the builds while you get all that set up. Boots 3 pots on absolutely everybody except Mundo, who is going armor 5 pots in the jungle, and support builds obviously on the supports. Fairy Charm and 3 wards is that? It's a very tiny 2 health pots. Alistar, so he's playing on that, take a lot of damage early on there. Once that Vision Pink ward and 4, yeah, 4, very tiny number, man. Is that number always that tiny? 4 green wards. 2 health pots on Taric to get things started off. Both teams kind of poking around each other. They both did end up on the same side. Dignitas just kind of hanging out in the river as MTW starts swinging towards the top. Nocturne going to go ahead and slide through top lane. Looks like they are just going to head it on over to blue. Dignitas might be getting a free red out of this as MTW exits the area. Dignitas going to be checking that tri-bush. There is a ward over there, so if they roll through, MTW is going to know all about it.
all right,
And
sorry guys.
that's about
I
it.
just want to apologize for the lag a little bit there. My settings were a little bit off, so I was uploading at way too high that it
Minions
lagged
have
everything.
spawned.
So it should be better now, and if it shows up again, I'll try and fix the stream. So just a little bit apologies on my end for the lag at the beginning.
Oh, Caballo, man. I will dominate, picking up Wolves. Going to get a little bit of help with the blue, and then that's going to be him heading on to lane. Ashe already down there and waiting. Atlanta taking his time. Nocturne going to be starting his blue as well, as opposed to sometimes you see a Noct start red and try some crazy early stuff, but he's going to be hitting up that blue. Blue going to go over to I will dominate here, and that's going to be everybody heading out onto late.
It was a pretty standard start. Both teams started at the Wolves blue, and they're just going to go through the jungle standardly. Wolves blue Wraith to double globes, and then possibly red right after, because that's about when the smite resets for both the junglers. So you're not going to see really any aggression until about the 4-minute mark, because they're just doing standard jungle route. It's definitely a lot longer, but you're going to be a lot higher in terms of level. So whenever you have a slower jungle, you're going to have a stronger presence late game.
Skara DCing right from the start. Definitely not a good time to let Karthus get free farm on the field. Not sure if they realize that that's what happened, because there's that delay on it. I assume everybody's in communication with one another. As you can see, down bot lane, Skara back in very quickly, so hopefully that was just a little net hiccup. Maybe he had a little bug that he had to get fixed. But you can see Atlanta playing pretty well back, using that volley, not sparingly, putting some damage down on I'm a Cutie Pie, and then up top, Mundo was hanging out in the area, but he headed back into the jungle, so nothing doing there.
So right now, Ashe is just going to want to volley as soon as it comes up, because from the looks of it, Graves is also buckshotting as soon as it gets up. So in terms of cooldown, volley is definitely on a much longer cooldown than buckshot is. So it's very important, if Ashe doesn't want to get shoved to tower, to volley as soon as it comes up and clear this wave as hard as he can before the pressure builds up so hard that it's going to reach tower, definitely. So that's what Ashe is trying to do. She's trying to balance the lane and not get pressured too hard, because if it gets to tower, she's going to lose a lot more creeps, because Ashe in general, early level, doesn't last hit too well, especially with boots 2 or 3 pots.
Yeah, no extra damage on that, so push under tower, and obviously, you know, Graves' range isn't absolutely amazing, but he can certainly keep that pressure on, because Buckshot has a really nice range. So Atlanta still has to be careful, which makes last hitting under that tower, the way I'm a Cutie Pie is playing this down here, all the harder. Just going to be really tough to get in there. Mandatory Cloud now possibly facing a little bit of dangers. I will dominate is hanging out in the river bush, but Man Cloud very, very wary of that Ryze snare and not pushing any farther forward than he absolutely needs to in the mid lane there.
Like right now, if you look at Atlanta, he's not at too much health. He's about 390, 400 health, down to 280 now. So if he get caught with a stun shatter, he's definitely going to go down really low and potentially even die, so he's got to watch out. Because Ashe is falling so low so early, Ali is actually maxing out his heal instead of his headbutt or pulverize to deal damage. So just right off the bat, you know bottom's going to be a passive lane for Ashe and Ali, and Graves and Taric is definitely going to be a more aggressive lane, because Taric doesn't have to put points into heal, because Graves is not taking any damage. So you're going to see a lot more points into Shatter. So if Ashe does get caught, she's going to take a lot more damage, not only from Graves, but it's going to be from Taric as well.
Yeah, and absolutely wonderful play out of Muffin Cutie there to just sort of read that, like, okay, you're taking a lot of shots, we're going to play this passive in general. Ashe already threw 2 of her health potions, whereas Graves has not popped a single one. So, I mean, that's just to show how much damage I'm a Cutie Pie is putting down. But with this lane perpetually pushed, you can really see them saying, we're not really worried about Nocturne until much, much later in the game. Up top, you got Smithy hanging out in the bushes, but Crumb's not going to have to worry about any of that, even though he's got the lane a little bit forward. A center Skara going to go on Man Cloud. Man Cloud just going to keep on farming up, because that's what a Karthus does. And Skara now getting some good damage put down. Sadly, does not have enough to finish him off.
So the thing I was talking about up top is Olaf does hit really hard against Shen. However, Shen is able to freeze this lane in front of his tower. So what that allows him to do is, that allows him the safety of the tower, so Olaf can't push on him and chase him down. Because the thing with Olaf's axes is he's going to be able to throw it on you, pick it up, throw it on you successively, and just do a lot of damage. And really the amount of damage he's going to do is the distance you are from where you need to be safe. And so that distance from him to the tower is very short, so he can get to safety relatively quickly.
Yeah, so Chrome's going to be forced to soak up a lot. And then obviously with Nocturne lurking around in the jungle and getting in the neighborhood of 6, it's something to worry about. Xmithy going to be losing Wraith Farm to I Will Dominate as he was a little bit low on health. And that's about all that's happening right there. Xmithy headed sort of up top now. He's getting a little bit back from those wolves, and then may head in the direction of Crumbs as he is going to get pretty close to 6. Doesn't get it off the wolves though, so not going to be much of a presence up top. Atlanta's still sitting about half health down bot lane, and in the middle of the field, Skara has managed to convince Mandatory Cloud that it is not worth it to really push too far out onto the lane, and ManCloud happy to hang back by his tower, let things push over, and then play button who's got the button when it gets there. Only a 200 gold difference through 7.5 minutes or so. So very even game so far. I Will Dominate back in enemy territory.
So blue is coming up for Nocturne. Both Mundo and Ryze knows that, so they're getting ready to counter jungle actually. So they just lay down the ward. Both teams know that they're there, so Mundo might get outsmited if he saves this for Ryze.
Smithy gets that one handily, nothing doing right there, and the entire Dignitas team forced back out on the lane. Poor Ryze. Not going to have a blue for the time being. Of course, their blue is up, so he might hand one over to Skara when the time comes, because a Ryze mid lane with blue. Very, very frustrating indeed, but with Mandatory Cloud happy to let that lane push back. Might not get too much done with it, so we'll see when the time comes.
So I just want to talk more about that blue buff smite right there. Both team... Dignitas knew that, alright, if Nocturne is in the brush and he's hiding, he's going to be able to smite the blue buff for free. So he drops a ward in case Nocturne comes. However, Nocturne also drops a ward in that brush as well. So he doesn't need to be in sight to give Mundo a cue that he's there. He's going to be able to smite it from far away. So just by not being close enough where the ward can see him, it gave Dignitas a false sense of safety, so Mundo thought he can give the buff to Ryze instead of smite it himself. So that's exactly what he did, and that's the reason why Nocturne was able to pick up that smite on that blue.
Yeah, nice play and calm play as well, which is one of those things that at the top levels is so insanely important. You just can't let yourself get jittery about anything. Skara going to be able to pick up their blue as I Will Dominate holds the lane for the time being. Karthus not too concerned. Nocturne coming in with the ult, and I Will Dominate will be first blood at the 9-minute mark as he just... I wouldn't even say he was not overextended, just probably didn't see that Ashe arrow incoming. A very nice Ashe arrow by Atlanta. Allows the knock ult to land.
It's so much damage. At any point if an Ashe arrow hits anybody with a Nocturne in that lane, that's a free 2-second stun. That's free damage from Nocturne, and whoever's in that lane, even if it's Shen, they're going to be able to just chain CC, chain damage, and just dish out so much damage. Hypothetically, if it's top lane, Karthus is going to be able to use that Rec Room as well, so it doesn't matter what lane you are in. If Ashe lands an arrow across the map, you're almost guaranteed to go down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless you're Olaf, because you can hit R and run away.
Yeah, he can always just Ragnarok out of there and get himself to safety. Ball's done a very, very nice job against Olaf, though. Like you talked about in the opening game, it would be very possible for Crumbs to get an advantage there by dropping Axe and just harassing the living bejesus out of him. Probably one of the few who can do it the way that Axe cooldown works. But Ball's been very, very smart about keeping the lane in good position. Obviously going to push it back here just a little bit, and looks like he might want to get out of dodge for the time being. Bot lane still very, very passive in general. I'm a Cutie Pie trying to poke as often as he can, but Atlanta and Muffin Cutie doing a fantastic job on a tanky champ. I love the way he's positioning, just staying there to say, hey, anything you try to do, I'm going to shut down. That visual presence, very important thing for a tanky support to do. Still only 300 gold difference, though, after that first blood, and Locust is not going to make it out of this one. He does get through with the armor. Shen, is he close enough? Does get it done. Ball's going to be able to get that, or Ballis, since that's
that's not good. He needs to not dive that.
Oh no, what? I didn't even see that. The directed camera hopped back.
That was
and
so
I was
good. Alistar actually sacrifices himself to save Shen, which probably is a good idea because Shen is worth a lot more gold than he is.
Yep, but Ball's now just stuck in the bushes and nothing he can do. Double kill. Smithy comes down. Gosh, Scar looks so tasty as a snack for that Nocturne, but going in would absolutely get him killed. So turning a single death into a 1 for 3. Dignitas now going to be able to pick up Dragon unhindered, and Karthus heads back up top lane. Not really a whole lot for him to do right there as Olaf makes it back. And Dragon going to go down more or less uncontested. Smithy was in the area. It looked like he might want to try to
That was
smite it.
definitely a bad play by MTW. They had a guaranteed kill on Karthus. Shen just got way too greedy. He starts diving onto Grave. He definitely wasn't looking at Ashe's and Alistar's hit point, and his dive actually prompted Ashe and Alistar to stay. That's why Ryze and Mundo is able to roam back down bottom and pick up those kills, because Shen diving kept both Ashe and Alistar around. So what could have been a free kill and having them back out just turned around and gave Dignitas 3 additional kills and Dragon. So definitely diving like that when your team's at about 1 hit to dead is definitely not a good idea at all. Unless you can solo kill them, it's totally not worth it.
Yeah, and with 2 there, it was going to be very hard for Shen to be the one to pull that off. And a single mistake turns into about it was about 1.5k gold lead before everybody got back out onto lane. Ashe and Alistar got back out to lane a little bit sooner there, so that diminished the gold lead. Still about it's back up to 1.5k. So Dignitas comes back out on lane and turns that lead straight back around and set in the right direction. Just a simple mistake, and you lose Dragon at 3 kills. Not a good one. Skara gonna get pegged middle, but cleanses immediately and gets out of that Ashe arrow. Man Cloud gonna try and put some damage down. He's taken a few too many tower shots, but manages to flash out. Both of them gonna be alive. 3 assists right there with a little bit of love for Alistar for helping out Ashe with those heals. Nice how that assist system works. Muffin Cutie gonna get pushed way back as he takes way too much damage off of I'm a Cutie Pie. And Locust making good use of that extra money with BF Sword already sitting on grapes.
So let me talk a little bit more about this team comp. Basically, they have such a heavy global type comp in terms of global protection, global damage, that they're gonna be able to make big plays despite being behind, just by keeping people not grouped up. What MTW wants to do is they want to stay in lane as long as possible, because that's how they're gonna gain the advantage. They're gonna be able to keep people in small groups of either 2, 3, or 1. Just because of top is a solo lane, if jungle is there, it's a 2. Jungle can be mid, which would be 2, and then if jungle is bot, that would be 3. And still, MTW is going to have that Nocturne, that Shen, and Karthus, so at any point it's going to be a 5v3 maximum if they can keep them in lane. So that's what they're looking to do right now. They're looking to not lose the tower. They're trying to keep it up and force Dignitas to stay in lane as long as possible, to continually pick up those kills from their ultimate.
Yeah, it's an interesting comp. One of the things that MTW has been known for a very long time, and you can see, man, that combination Ashe arrow, Atlanta has been on point with them, and that's one of those things that he's just going to need to keep going all game long, because that Ashe arrow is super important right now to pulling them to within 900 gold. Managed to claw back about 600 after that shot mid. Nocturne been Johnny on the spot as well, coming out with that ult. So obviously good communication across MTW. Bot lane, both are backing with the lane pushing here. So I'm a Cutie Pie and Locust want to take that tower down as quickly as possible here.
Definitely.
Just working that through. Skara coming a little bit forward there as they try to get some work done on that.
Definitely, Dignitas wants to get that tower really, basically as soon as they can, because killing the tower is going to allow them to roam around the map and give them a lot more positioning on the map. Being able to roam around the map means that they're not stuck in a group of 2, potentially 2 or 3 versus 5 on bottom. They're going to be able to roam mid and get that 4v4, 4v5, and potentially still make plays out of that. So this tower that they just got down bottom is actually huge for Dignitas, whether it seems like it or not right now.
Yeah, it's going to open up the map for them a whole lot. Top lane, they've both pretty much scaled out of the other, so they're just kind of ignoring each other. The poke continues, however, and Balls and Crumbs just going at each other pretty much relentlessly. Crumbs happy to push the lane for the time being, though, and Ball's going to be forced to farm a little bit under tower. Skara getting caught out a little bit, but nothing they could really do about it. As Scar and I'm a Cutie Pie, you can see the roaming starting up immediately, not wasting any time. It looks like they're going to push mid tower as well. Mandatory Cloud taking a ton of damage off of Skara, and now the push coming down mid. Looks like they want mid tower as well. Want a lot of room to roam around this map because the laning phase was not going quite how they wanted it to.
So here's that group I was talking about. Normally it would just be Ryze down mid, and with Shen and Karthus and Ashe, you know, Ryze doesn't have a lot of pressure, and he's forced to play a lot safer. But now that Graves and Taric have taken down bottom tower, they're actually able to go to mid. They're going to be able to take this tower too, and basically if Dignitas is able to take all the outside tower, they gain a lot more positioning, and that would stop a lot of the global presence from MTW.
Ashe on the way up, Mupp and Cutie going to initiate this. The Nocturne ult's going to come in. Karthus going down at the beginning of the fight, but he will still be very, very useful. Locust not going to make it out. He gets picked up by Ashe on the far side. Graves going to get Nocturne. I'm a Cutie Pie doesn't make it out, however, as Ashe picks him up as well. Karthus getting Ryze in the middle of all that, and I Will Dominate going to go down for the trouble. A triple kill for Atlanta. Ashe going to be sitting on some nice money now. 3-1-3 with 129 CS.
That was such a
nice
huge
pickup.
and great play by MTW, by the way. Basically, Karthus ran in and he was about to die anyways, and right when Ashe's arrow hit the group of or cluster of people, Karthus died. So it didn't really matter that Karthus died. He was able to lay out just huge amounts of damage, even though he's dead, because they're not moving anywhere, because they're absolutely just stunned by Ashe's arrow.
Yep, nicely done. Mid turret is still standing for MTW. Crumbs taking out top outer right there. Karthus going to come make sure that that lane doesn't push too far. Now MTW going to answer back with a dragon of their own, and that is going to put them right back in there. 7 kills to 5. 24k gold to 25.3 for the moment. 2 towers to 1 in favor of Dignitas through 18 minutes of play. This dragon going to be going down soon, but Dignitas very, very close. Going to come on over, and they do manage to pick it up, but can they get out unhindered in the process? Managed to land a stun on X-Smithy, but he flashes over the wall very handily right there. Ball's going to be able to get out as well. Looks like Dignitas will not be able to capitalize on this. Their timing was just a little bit too slow, just a touch.
That was so close for Dignitas to might steal that, because actually Mundo was closer than Nocturne was, because Nocturne was at this choke. Mundo was right here. When Mundo saw Nocturne, he actually ran this way to close off Nocturne, but Nocturne just ignored them, just used his Dustbringer to move across and run away and actually just smite Dragon as he's running away. Had Mundo just ran straight to Dragon, he would have been able to outsmite MTW, because their Nocturne was the one that was going to be able to smite it.
Yep. Pushing down that mid-outer turret, Dignitas putting themselves back into a 1k gold lead. Not a wide lead through nearly 19 minutes of play. Dignitas has been insanely objective-focused here in the past couple of minutes, though, and obviously with that earlier attempt at blue, at enemy blue, they've been paying close attention to secondary objectives as well. Just doing a fantastic job of that. That's something MTW is going to have to match, or Dignitas is just going to out-objective them because of how MTW managed to keep pace on the gold and team fight side of things. So, red buff over to Graves. We got Allen backing, 20.1k gold, 5 kills and 3 towers for Dignitas, 27.1 gold, 7 kills and 1 tower for MTW through 19.5 minutes of play. Dragon just going down a second ago, so now the secondary objectives all getting taken care of. Blue going to go over to Skara here on their side of things. Baron and towers are going to be the only things for people to look at, and it's going to be time for footsies. Some part of the map is balls. Taking on I Will Dominate up top. That tower is still standing. Bot outer is still standing as well, so some serious primary objectives for MTW to take a look at.
Sorry about that. My internet's being unstable right now. I gotta check this out after this game, by the way. So if you just got a huge lag spike, my internet actually, the bitrate just spiked really hard in terms of upload speed. So that's something I definitely gotta take care of after this game.
Yep. If you need me to stream, just let me know. I got some fancy files, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, you got
if
your
it comes down
webcam
to it, I'm probably going to have you stream if my internet starts acting up again.
Yep, just let me know. I Will Dominate, taking a lot of damage up top. Balls decides he can finish it off. And Karthus, indeed, going to be the one to do it. So, nice dive under the tower. Mundo just staying a little bit too long, overstayed his welcome up top and wasn't able to really do anything. Muff and Cutie going to be taking a lot of damage. Out front, Skara going to get absolutely destroyed in the wall by the Wraiths, as they just said, did you guys hear something? I think I just heard Ryze explode on the other side of that wall. Nicely done right there. Now 9-5, 100 gold difference right now, as good as nothing, and towers could be in a little bit of trouble. Looks like MTW is headed to Baron. They're just going to start that up immediately with Ryze and Mundo off the field.
they just have so much damage in terms of doing Baron, just because Karthus is going to be able to deal so much damage, especially they have no idea that MTW is actually just going to back out. What they actually could have done was just finish Baron, but they intended on saving balls. They probably could have finished Baron in the time they were chasing balls, so it was a little bit of a mistake to actually stop doing Baron and saving balls, because that had drawn them back to Baron.
ManCloud back out on the field, being insanely disruptive right now. They don't manage to finish up Baron, and now ball's drastically low, so he's going to have to get out of there. I will dominate, the only thing standing between Locust and death. He moves to the side, and that leads to an inevitable Taric death. So looks like a 3 for 2 right there with Xmithy and ManCloud going down. Ball's going to be forced to back, though, so they won't really be able to do too much. No real way to capitalize on this with the tower or even any real secondary objectives right there. Skara now thinking about taking a look at blue. No, he's just going to back it on up just in case anybody's in the area. He doesn't want to get himself in too much trouble. Atlanta going to pick up Wraith Farm, and MTW going to move themselves into a lead with another nice team fight.
So the thing with that fight is they had no idea that MTW was doing Baron. With 4 man, they would have been easily able to pick up that Baron. However, since Dignitas was chasing Shen, MTW thought, oh no, they're going to be able to find us at Baron. What they didn't know was that Dignitas had no idea. Even though there was a ward near Baron, they had already been inside the Baron pit, so there's actually no vision of them doing Baron. But the moment they started chasing Shen through their jungle, or through MTW's jungle, MTW came out to help them, which showed that they're doing Baron. So that was what gave up the intel that MTW was doing Baron. Otherwise, that could have been a free Baron, and I don't think Balls was going to die anyways.
Yeah, Shen with a whole lot of escape mech. Now, Dignitas, the one setting up in the neighborhood of Baron, but they're going to quickly vacate the area. Xmithy going to take care of that ward over in the corner. I don't think anybody running oracles at this point on either side of the fence. Yeah, nobody spending that money on oracles. I'm a Cutie Pie and Shen, or Graves and Shen going at it bot lane. I'm a Cutie Pie and Ball's going at it down bot lane. Now looks like the push is going to roll down mid, at least for the second. With Shen down bottom, will they start up one more time? Nocturne well out of position if they do start up on Baron, but they're certainly turning that direction. Looks like just to clear out that ward at the backside of the pit, and then everything going to reset as we begin the footsies once again.
So basically the reason why they aren't getting oracles is because the death potential of this game is so high, especially for Dignitas, because MTW has such a heavy global composition. They're able to focus down whoever has that oracles really quickly, regardless if it's Mundo or not. So you know, it's a lot more beneficial for both teams to get just sight wards and vision ward at this point, because if you die a lot earlier than you can get the worth of the oracle, it's not worth getting the oracles at this point.
Absolutely. And actually, Shen going to be pushing down bot outer tower since the dance is going on mid. There's not really a whole lot they can do. Shen going to be able to engage on this fight pretty much instantaneously as his ult, I believe, is up. Karthus getting blasted down super quickly, which is pretty much standard there. But Atlanta taking a ton of damage off of Crumbs. Goes 2 for none at the start, make it 3 for none. Shen comes in kind of late, picks up Graves, making it 3 for 1. But Ball's now in a lot of trouble. 4 for 1. Alistar, the only one still standing. He has near as makes no difference, 97 health, and he is going to be forced back. Looks like Baron time for Dignitas, and this is going to be huge for them with only a 200 gold difference. That is going to give them a lot of money worth of deliciousness to walk around with.
A lot of bad plays just overall in general for MTW. Basically, they want Karthus to die. If Dignitas is focusing Karthus, you want to just let him drop so he can deal the damage. So that Shen ult should have been saved for either Nocturne or Ashe, because if you ult on Nocturne, you're going to be able to taunt anybody that's near Nocturne, and he's going to be able to zone out to that target that you want to get onto anyways. And the second thing where MTW made a mistake was Karthus didn't really know that he was dead, so he just kept on casting. And before he knew it, he realized he's been casting too long and he's actually dead, so he wasn't able to use his Requiem because he was too focusing on using his lane waste while he's dead. And the time slot in when he can use his Requiem had passed.
Yep. Uncontested Dragon for Dignitas right there. And like you said, I mean, a bunch of little tiny mistakes right there. I don't think Atlanta was necessarily expecting Crumbs to drop the kind of damage he did either, because Atlanta got caught out at the back. Just the positioning across the team was very, very split, whereas Dignitas was a lot more focused. Crumbs, who could very easily get out front, did so. Now about a 2.7k gold difference between the two. 3 towers to 2, 13... 11 kills to 13 there, with Dignitas out front on the gold side of things, and they're packing Baron buff, but that's not going to stop this top outer turret from going down. Nice objective movement here, and good map awareness from MTW. They're going to try and make the best of this since they know they've lost Baron. And holding on, now the dance begins around mid-inner turret, with Dignitas starting to push the lane that way. Smithy going to be on his way back. It looks like Shen just going to continue to push up against top inner to see if he can't get something done right there.
So what's going to happen right now is Dignitas wants to push really hard against MTW. However, with Ashe's volley, which is on a relatively short cooldown, it's about 4 seconds, and Karthus lay waste and wall, they're not going to be able to get to this tower and deal damage for too much. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow Shen to do a lot of damage up top, and they're just going to split push over and over. And this is not good for Mandatory Cloud. Even though he wants to die in the middle of the fight, getting caught out alone where his team can't follow up damage is really bad still.
Yeah, Shen coming in at a nice time. That Requiem definitely going to get off this time. They do manage to pick up Mundo, but I think that is the absolute extent. Going 2 for 1 there as Shen goes down on the far side. Just nobody really able to engage with that Baron buff, and all the major damage dealers still standing. MTW had no move to make, losing out 2. That is going to be mid-inner, possibly mid-inhibitor turret going down as well. Yeah, with Crumbs looking that healthy. No minion push, though, so they are going to be forced back. Still 15 seconds out on Karthus coming up, though.
Basically, Dignitas is going to be able to get this next tower just because Ashe has no mana. There's no clear potential on the creep wave. Nocturne is really low on mana anyway, so what MTW should do is just give up this tower because there's no way they're going to be able to defend this.
Yep, Locust coming in, leading with a stun on Atlanta. They want Ashe out of the picture. Muffin Cutie going to be the one that ends up taking the bulk of the damage, however, and Ashe doing a nice job getting clear. Almost picks up on McCutie That would have been a very, very nice pickup indeed, but he's going to get healed back up on the far side of that. Dignitas going to be able to clear. They do manage to save mid-inhib turret with just over half health, and very, very nicely done right there. A 3k gold lead for the moment after that mid-inhib pickup and team fight for Dignitas, but MTW being very, very tenacious here, holding it in. 3k, not a huge difference at the moment, and Shen getting some very, not a ton of damage done, but vital damage indeed on that top inner turret, getting top outer as well. So MTW still looking good. They should still be able to make good moves around the field, and with Baron not much longer on the map. What do we got left on Baron? Yeah, not that long at all left on Baron. MTW is going to be able to start making moves outside of their own base once again.
Yeah. So the thing is despite MTW being behind, they have all the kills where it needs to be on Karthus and Ashe. You know, you want a lot of farm on your AD because what Dignitas has is they have these super hyper tank, and the way AD scale is, you lose to tank mid-game about, but it's going to come to a point where you're so strong because there's so many different types of scaling stats for AD that multiplies with each other, that if you go pure damage on an AD, you're going to be able to do a lot more damage than tank stats can scale. So having all that farm on Atlanta is going to get him to that point where he's going to be able to just constantly kite and just deal a lot of damage, especially with the slow. He's going to be able to kite basically anybody but Olaf, but even at this point, if Olaf runs in, he's going to be able to do a lot of damage, but he's also going to drop really quickly.
Yep, and as you can see, I mean, in that last one, they really wanted to get Atlanta, but Atlanta knows his positioning pretty well. He's being very mindful of it, especially since they're very aware that they're running even for the most part with Dignitas, and now it's just that waiting game. You try to push the lanes, everybody's going to, you know, they're going to do their little lane babysitting thing, make sure that nothing really gets too far out of position, wait for those sort of big secondary objectives to come up, Dragon and Baron, and that should be the start of the next thing, as I don't think anybody's really going to have too much of an advantage through here. I don't think MTW really wants to sort of try to break themselves against the extreme tankiness that you were just mentioning of Dignitas, and it's going to be a nice little calm couple of minutes here, potentially.
The thing that they're doing right now, they're actually just waiting for the cooldowns to come up. As soon as Taric gets his flash up, they're going to be able to fight, because having that Taric flash up, he's going to be able to flash and stun key targets like Ashe, so she's not going to be able to kite. So having that ghost up from Olaf is especially important as well. So making sure having all your CDs up for the next fight is what both teams are looking to do right now.
Yep, and looks like everybody kind of hanging around in and around Baron. They've got that Oracles on Taric, so they obviously got to run a little bit of interference for him. Checking on blue there is Crumbs, and nothing doing, so a little ping over there. In the direction of blue, Alistar's going to head that way as he's rocking Oracles now as well. So definitely some tanky targets that'll be worth a little bit of extra gold if you can manage to knock that Oracles off of them, and really let you get some good ward coverage as well. But the ward coverage is looking fantastic for both teams. Dignitas got that top side really, really well covered. MTW with good coverage, generally all over the place, except obviously where Taric has been able to roam. They've been cleaned up there. Dragon back up. Nobody going to be in a huge rush to head over there, I don't think.
So Baron is spawning in the next minute, and so both teams are looking to fight. They have everything up on both sides. Every single summoner spell is going to be up in the next 15 seconds from Ashe, from Alistar. So once that refreshes, MTW is definitely going to be ready to fight for this Baron.
Yep, Dignitas headed over there as soon as Baron pops. They are in the neighborhood. There is a ward down. Locust going to see that just as the Q comes across from Nocturne. Locust not going to clear that ward, though. Not sure why. He's going to back it up now and clear that ward once he gets... No, he's leaving the ward. Okay, there we go. He's finally going to back up and get that ward. I'm a cutie pie going to drop a little bit of damage onto Smithy, and Smithy going to back it on up. Alistar clearing wards as well. Some nice, delicious money for the supports right there. I Will Dominate going to go ahead and start up Baron with MTW right in the neighborhood. They're going to disengage off of Baron pretty much immediately right there. And the dancing continues. Somebody going to move out of position.
Really bad for Dignitas, because then if they engage on Baron, Dignitas is going to take a lot of damage from Baron. However, they were almost able to catch Ashe out, but unfortunately they weren't. And Mandatory is able to get into the middle of everything and just die. And so right now, if Ashe is able to kite this Mundo, which is pretty hard because he's got the anti-movement speed, but Alistar is actually going to be able to get in there and help tank and kite Mundo. So this fight is a one fight from Dignitas. If Ashe drops, that's a free Baron for Dignitas.
Yep, Muff and Cutie going down well to lock in the ace. 2 for 5 with Crumbs and Cutie Pie still up. They'll definitely be able to go on it. They got Dragon down bottom too. Don't think they'll quite have time for that, though, with 22 seconds until Nocturne's up. They may have time to slide down there. But yeah, all in all, an amazing team fight for Dignitas. MTW once again getting a rather weird split. Mundo, after Atlanta took all that damage, was very, very easily able to slide Ashe off to the side, which means Alistar was forced to peel and come back to defend, which split them once again, much like that team fight middle. MTW was just not where they needed to be.
Yeah, so Dignitas, is a really bad position for them to be inside the Baron pit. If MTW was able to engage on them at that pit, they would have been taking not just a lot of AoE damage from MTW, but they're going to be able to get nuked down by Baron as well. However, since they know that MTW was split, they engage preemptively before MTW was able to congregate and fight them inside the Baron pit. So from having a bad position, they actually baited MTW into a worse position and just turning it around and picking them up before they can group up.
Yep, very nicely done there. Great team fights out of Dignitas all game long. Once it's sort of Ashe Nocturne got split up, I mean, Dignitas really reading that nicely, taking out those turrets, fairly early on, just so that they could get that ability to move around. Really, really nice objective awareness and a good play style to sort of counter the team comp that was really giving Ryze a lot of trouble mid. 18 kills to 16 with Dignitas in the lead, 56k gold to 50.3k gold. It's 5.7k difference there. 4 towers to 3 in favor of Dignitas as well. And they're walking around with 3 of their members packing Baron. Sadly, Scar not one of them, but I'm a cutie pie sitting back there with Baron. That's going to help out quite a bit to give them plenty of power to push down this mid inhib. Some nice lane clearing going on right there from MTW. However, I Will Dominate. Gonna just say, you know what, I think I can tank this a little bit. Gotta still play it back though. And Dignitas gonna get a little bit of poke done. Wait for this next creep wave to come in and get that damage done on mid inhib. Looks like might be the start of something here. Those lanes going to meet each other, but everybody continuing to play back. Obviously, MTW not wanting to make a move without a little bit of help from their tower. Still, tons of health floating around on the Dignitas side of things. You got Atlanta finally starting to look as his health bars aren't quite as thick as they were before,
Hmm.
but still obviously going to have to play it very far back. And Mandatory Cloud hopefully going to last a little bit longer because with that tankiness, he's been dying really, really early in these fights. Again, normal for a Karth, but not helping out as much as he possibly could with a little bit of extended stay back. Dignitas now going to go ahead and push it in. They say, we think you guys are well enough out of position, but I Will Dominate takes a ton of damage. Alistar getting in there. I Will Dominate going pretty low early on. Xmithie going to be forced out. Karthus goes down to Graves. The Requiem comes off. I Will Dominate not going to be too concerned about that, but Crumb's getting caught out. Going to take Olaf out. Mid-inhib goes down in the middle of that fray. I don't think Atlanta is quite sturdy enough to make it through this. He gets picked up by Ryze. Ball's now way too low to do anything. Double kill for Skara, 4 for 1, with Crumbs being the only one to go down. Mid-inhib's going to come down with a push coming in. That's going to be some quality time with these Nexus turrets, and that may be a game right there for MTW, as obviously Nocturne's not going to be able to do anything. Yeah, those turrets just gone.
This is a good, it's good engage by Dignitas. They saw that Ashe was leaving to go farm bottom, and so that was their chance to engage on MTW. 5v4, despite that arrow, there's no follow-up damage. If you look at the damage potential, it's really just Ashe and Karthus doing that damage. When you lose about 30% of your total damage from someone not being there, there's no real way MTW could have fought that, even if it was under tower, because if Ashe wasn't there, they should have just let that tower drop.
Yeah, and really, really nice timing.